Hello, welcome to yoga. My name is Diamond. Thank you for joining me this evening. We're going to get settled really quickly, stay very low to the ground, and get relaxed for our evenings. Get some nice, gentle stretches in that'll allow us to breathe deep into the body. If you are a woman and are dealing with menstrual pain, this can also be really helpful for that. Some of these poses will be pretty comfortable for you. I am going to be using blocks today to assist me, just to make sure that I am being very mindful of actually moving slower and trying to be kinder to my body this practice. If you don't have blocks, you can use two really large books. You can use two pillows that are maybe firmer, maybe like couch cushions, something, but I do advise like maybe trying to find something. So while I give you a second to do that, I'm just going to set these up towards the front of my mat so I can grab them. And then I'm going to move over to the back of my mat and sit back on my knees. This could be another place that's really good for a block. You can actually place it in between the legs. If you have sensitive knees, this is very helpful. You can also stack two blocks on top of each other to give yourself a little bit more room. I'm just going to sit over my heels here and try to elongate my spine. Kind of the head reaches up towards the ceiling. And then try to roll the shoulders up and down the back. And then tuck the lower rib cage under so your back isn't curved like this, but so there's a little bit of integrity in the abdomen here. And then bring the hands to the knees. And then just begin to breathe normally. Say hi to Tater Tot. And then maybe begin to close the eyes down here. Just try to settle in. Is the mind racing? Whatever it is, just drop in here. Notice anything you hear, any smells. Notice the temperature of the room, how your mat feels underneath you. Maybe there's a blanket, maybe you're on carpet. Notice how your tongue tastes on the inside of your mouth. Take an inhale in, exhale, and begin to bring your attention inward towards your breath now. Notice the quality of your breath. Notice where you feel it. Are you breathing into the belly, the ribs, the back body, the chest? Is your breath in your throat? Are your inhales and your exhales even? Are you breathing through your nose, through your mouth? Check in. And then slowly begin to bring your forehead down to the mat. We're going to come into a traditional child's pose here. Maybe remove the block if you have one underneath you. We're going to drop our arms down back so our hands are reaching towards the back of our mat. Shoulders are heavy and folding forward. Belly is on top of the thighs. And again, continue breathing. This time, see if you can get your inhalations and your exhalations to be the same length. Make them even. And see if you can expand on the length of these breaths. Fully inhaling, feeling the ribs and the back body expand. And then exhaling completely. We'll be here a few rounds of breath. Try to stick with it. Three more rounds of breath. On your next inhale, slowly begin to lift your forehead off the mat. Drag your upper body upwards, and then maybe start to roll out through the wrists as we come to sit upright, still over our knees, making circles one way and the other. And now lean forward slightly. You're going to bring your hands in front of us, but our fingertips are going to come to face our body. The heels of your hands facing the front of the mat. Bring the palms to the ground and press into the heel of your hand. If this is intense, you can do one hand at a time. And maybe you can lean forward if you would like to bring a little bit of tension off the wrists. But continue to press all fingers into the ground, all fingertips into the heel of the hand here. 2 more breaths. And then we're slowly going to come back up onto our knees. Feel free to replace the block or come off of the knees if this becomes uncomfortable, but we'll only be here a few more moments. Just start to shrug the ear or the shoulders up towards the ears and then roll them down and back. Really squeeze them up, create tension, and then release all of it out on an exhale. Shoulder blades come together. Few rounds here. And then bring your shoulders forward, reverse the direction. And then bring the chin to the chest. And then lift the chin to the sky. Nod your head up and down a few times. Inhaling, looking up. Exhaling, looking down. Come back to center. We're going to come forward here onto a tabletop position. Bring the shoulders over the wrists, the hips over the knees, and begin to drop the belly, open the chest, and bring the collarbones forward on an inhale. As you exhale, arch the back, cat pose, press the mat away from you. Repeat this motion, inhaling into cow pose, exhaling into cat. One more round. And then begin to bring your hands a little bit wider. And then maybe the knees a tiny bit wider. And then begin to continue with this cat-cow motion, but make circles with the hips. So pressing them back as you arch through the spine and moving them forward as you open up through the chest and drop the belly. Inhaling, coming forward. Exhaling, going backwards. This doesn't have to look perfect. You can kind of feel into the spine here and do what feels good. Reverse the direction of your circle here. And then find a neutral spine back in a tabletop position here. And then we're going to pick up the right knee, bring it into the chest, and then step the right foot in between the hands. This is going to be the first place that I grab my blocks. I'm going to place them beside me. Again, if you don't have any, use books, or you can totally do this whole thing with your hands on the ground. I want to find a little bit more space, so I'm going to use the blocks, and I'm going to put them on the highest position. And I'm going to sink down into this lunge and breathe, really pressing the top of the back foot into the mat. Slightly pulling the right hip crease back and pressing the left one forward. Hips should be square here. My chest is open. I'm going to take an inhale to prepare, and as I exhale, I'm going to shift my hips back and straighten my right leg. You can keep a bend in the right leg. We really aren't trying to go for that full half split. We're just trying to feel into the back of the leg, the calf. And then as we inhale, we're going to come forward into this lunge. And then exhale, straighten. Moving back and forth between these two movements. Inhale, come forward once more. As we exhale and straighten the leg, we're going to twist over to the right side of the room, and the right arm is going to open up and lift up towards the sky. A gentle twist here. You can keep the right hand on the hip and just breathe here, really trying to flex the right toes towards the face here. And then slowly release, but this time the right hand is going to come to the inside of the left foot. I'm going to adjust my blocks, bring them down a level. And we're going to come into lizard pose. You can heel toe your right foot over to the right side of the mat and breathe here. You can come down to the forearms if this feels good. You can bring the blocks up higher if you would like. I'm going to place mine down here on this lower level. We'll be here for 5 breaths. Again, still pushing back down through that left top of your foot. Your toes should be directly behind you in a straight line. 2 more breaths. And then I'm just going to set the blocks over so I can plant my hands. Step this right leg behind me, and then we're just going to switch into the other side. Maybe take a cat-cow in between before we transition. And then we're going to lift this left leg up, bring the left knee into the chest, and then step it up in between the hands. I'm going to grab my blocks, place them to whatever setting I had on the other side. Left knee is over left ankle, and I'm really opening up through this right hip crease, but the hips are still square. Keep your chest open so you're not just slouching over this left leg. And breathe here. And then on your next exhale, begin to straighten the left leg, bring the hips back. And then inhale, come forward. Move with your breath here. Notice the difference of how this side feels to the other. And move with the breath, opening up through the back of the left leg. A few more times. And the next time you are back in your half split, The right hand is going to ground down, either on the ground or on the block. And we're going to open up the left arm and reach it up towards the sky. Twist from the belly button, opening up the chest, looking up towards the left corner of the room. And breathe. Again, there can be a bend in the straight leg. And then slowly release the left hand to the inside of the left foot. Heel toe that foot out, and then readjust your blocks if you have them. Bring the hands down in front of you. Press the top of the right foot into the mat. Open up through the chest wherever you are and breathe. You can come down to the forearms if you did so on the other side. But try to keep your breaths even as we did in the beginning, equal inhalations and exhalations. If you can't breathe deeply in the pose or you're struggling, come out of it a little bit. Take your blocks up to a higher level and just try to give yourself a little grace. Listen to your bodies. You shouldn't feel any pinching or any pain. Let's take a few more breaths here. And then slowly shift your hips back. We're going to move the blocks over to the side for now, and we're actually going to swing our legs around to come in front of us. So for however you want to get there, we're going to come to sit on our bottoms. The legs are going to come out long. Bring them together. I guess you can leave a little bit of space, but we're going to stretch them out long. Flex the toes towards the face. And then we're going to inhale, lift the arms up towards the sky. And then as we exhale, we're going to fold forward over the legs. Feel free to bend them a little bit here. And fold the belly over the thighs. Reach for the feet, the ankles, the shins. You can always bring a block in front of the feet and grab there. Or try to clasp the hands in front. So you have options. Let the head hang heavy. Breathe deeply here. Breathe into the back body. Breathe into the back of the legs. This could also be a good place to place a pillow on the thighs. On your next inhale, lift the upper body up. Pause. As you exhale, come back over your hips. We're just going to take the soles of the feet together here, and the knees are going to come out wide. We're going to create a diamond shape in the legs, and maybe we even press the legs further away from us. I'm going to use my blocks here. This is completely optional, but I'm going to place my blocks underneath my knees here. My hips aren't very open, so my knees don't often come very close to the ground. So in poses like this, the blocks are helpful in supporting me and allowing me to try to loosen up into these postures, right? So we're going to bring the spine straight up just to get settled here. Grab the ankles or wrap the hands around the feet. And then we're going to start to pour forward over our feet. Maybe bring the forehead down towards the feet. If I had another block, this would be, or I'm not using the block to be underneath my knees, you can take the block to the feet so you have somewhere to rest your forehead here. So again, options. Do what feels best to you in this moment and breathe. Take a few more breaths. And then once more, start to lift the upper body up. And then remove the blocks, move them over to the side. Use the hands to bring the knees closer together. The hands are going to come behind, and then we're going to knock our knees side to side. As we do this, allow your bum to slide closer towards the feet, towards the front of the mat. And then we're going to bring our backs closer to the mat. And then let's actually bring the feet wider, as wide as the mat, and then continue this motion, but maybe slow it down. So dropping the knees over to one side, maybe pause, exhale here, and then inhale, bring them back to center. Exhale to the other side. Follow your breath, or your breath, you should have one. Bring the knees back up toward the ceiling after you've evened out on both sides. Maybe walk the feet in towards the buttocks. Knees should be, or the feet should be hip distance apart. We're going to prepare to come into bridge pose. One more place for us to use our block. You can use it on any level. And so we're going to set up for bridge. But this time, as we lift our hips up towards the ceiling, we're still going to press our knees together and forward, but we're going to place a block underneath our sacrum. So kind of on your lower back on top of your bottom. And I'm going to use, again, you can use like this lower level and just hang out here, and that's totally fine. This is probably the more restorative of the options. I have a quite bendy back, so I'm going to lift my block up a little bit more and hang out over here. Wherever you are, place your hands down beside you, reaching for the heels. And your shoulders should be firmly pressing into the ground. Shouldn't be any pinching in the neck, and your gaze is straight up towards the sky. And then just breathe here. We'll be here for a little bit. Starting to slow down these postures even more. And again, focusing on that evening out of your breath. Let's take 4 more breaths. Last one. And then press the feet into the ground. And then we're just going to lift up a little bit and remove the block from underneath us. Slowly lower the rest of the body down to the mat. From here, we're going to lift the toes up off the ground just so you can cross the right leg over the left. If this doesn't feel good to you, keep both knees together. And we're going to inhale in, and as we exhale, drop the knees over to the left side. The hands can come out long. The left hand can guide the right knee down. If you're feeling any tightness in the low back, you can shift the knees further away from your body, closer to the towards the feet. And just breathe here. Right shoulder is heavy. Both shoulders are planted down firmly into the ground. Gaze is up towards the sky or towards the right hand. Maybe close down the eyes here. Inhaling, filling the belly up with air. Exhaling, pulling the belly button to the spine. Empty all the air out. Keep breathing. Maybe let's go 6 more rounds of breath here. And on your next inhale, hold the knees back in towards center. Lift the feet up off the ground just to cross the left leg over the right this time. And then we're going to exhale and drop the knees over to the right side. Left shoulder is heavy. And again, looking up or towards the left hand. And we'll be here for a minute or so again. So keep breathing into the belly. A few more rounds. On your next inhale, bring the knees back into center. This time, squeeze your knees into the chest. Really hug your arms around the shins. Maybe rock side to side. Maybe rock your head back and forth, left and right. And then we're going to move into Happy Baby or a variation. So you choose. You can take the traditional Happy Baby by opening up the knees and then kicking the feet up into the hands, pulling the feet down so the knee or the thighs and the knees come closer to the mat. Tailbone is reaching down towards the ground. We can stay here and maybe rock side to side. This is a little much for me today, so I'm going to keep the knees where they are. Legs are traditional Happy Baby, but I'm going to allow my feet to come inwards towards each other. I'm going to hold onto the ankles here and just allow my knees to fall open, so I'm still getting that stretch in the hips, but it's not as deep. So choose an option that works for you. And then let's take 10 breaths here. If you are in traditional Happy Baby with the heels up, feel free to maybe rock side to side, maybe extend one leg and then the other. Find movement if that feels good to you. But eventually we'll all meet in stillness here. And then if you haven't already, begin to close the eyes down. And then release the legs, extend them out long. And then allow the arms to come out wide as well, palms of the hands facing up towards the sky. Let the heels sink down into the ground, relax through the knees and the calves. Relax the quads, the buttocks. Allow the hips to become heavy. Soften in the belly and the chest. And let the shoulders sink into the mat. Relax the hands, the arms, the throat. Soften the jaw, relax the tongue. Remove it from the top of your mouth. Feel the eyes become heavy, but focus your attention to the space between your eyebrows and soften the skin of the forehead. Continue breathing. Empty your mind, focus on the breath. Welcome all distractions and thoughts. Greet them and let them pass. Returning to the breath, we'll be here for a few minutes. start to deepen your breath. Notice what you hear. Notice what you smell. Notice the temperature of the room. How the mat feels beneath your body. Slowly start to move through the fingers and the toes. And keeping the eyes closed down, stretch the arms up above head and roll over onto your right side, bringing the knees into the chest. Find a fetal position here and pause. Notice any sensations in the body. Notice how you feel right now. Slowly start to lift yourself up into a seated position, pressing the ground away from you with your big body, crossing the legs in front of you, or coming into whatever comfortable seat. Reach the crown of the head towards the sky. Bring the hands up on an inhale. And as you exhale, bring the palms into your chest. Drop the chin towards the fingertips. And I'll leave you with this sentiment. Be gentle with yourself because you are exactly where you're supposed to be. Namaste. Thank you for practicing with me. I hope you're super relaxed. It was short and sweet, but hopefully you're ready to get back to your evenings. Um, I won't be streaming again next Wednesday or the following Wednesday. So I will see you again in July. Again, Wednesday at 7 p.m. My last sunset class of the month is this Friday at 7 p.m., I believe. It's posted on my Instagram. And then I won't see you again until July as well. First sunset of the sunset class of the month will be that first Sunday of the month. So I will see you guys then. Check my Instagram for updates. Have a good night.